dominated the Tigers. He did everything he wanted to do. He kept the ball out of the middle of the plate. That was the biggest thing. He used all corners of the strike zone, up, down, in, out, and just absolutely shut down the Tigers' offense in Game 2.
Bumgarner, 7 innings, just 2 hits, no earned runs. After his start, he talked about his performance.
It felt pretty good. I mean, you know, we didn't throw very many changeups. We threw some curveballs. The biggest thing was just mixing it up, in and out, and up and down. You know, trying to keep them off balance the best we could. So I mean, you know, every pitch, you know, felt pretty good tonight. It felt a lot better than it has been, you know, the last few games.
Sometimes you get out of sync, whether you're a hitter or pitcher, and tonight he was right on with his delivery, his rhythm, and just had a good tempo out there and kept it going. Great poise the whole game, and just did a tremendous job. He hadn't pitched in a while, but he was right on tonight.
Bumgarner did get into some trouble early in this game like he had in his last 2 starts, but he got a lift from the defense. In the 2nd inning, after Prince Fielder reached to lead things off, Delman Young hits one into the corner. The Tigers send Fielder home. He gets gunned down at the plate. That was a key play early in the game.
It was a key play. I think that was the turning point and a confidence booster for Madison Bumgarner. Prince Fielder getting thrown out at the plate for the first out of the inning when it could have been runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out, with Johnny Peralta coming to the plate to bat. So that was a very, very big play. I think Gene Lamont was probably just a little bit too aggressive in sending Prince Fielder when he probably, you know, in hindsight, should have left him at third base.
And it wasn't just a question of 1 run. Who knows what the Tigers could have done in that inning? And you said it, Bumgarner, he said it, confidence came from that, getting out of that inning.
It really did. That gave him a lift. And, you know, what he was thinking about was his previous 2 starts where he got into trouble in that third and fourth innings, couldn't get out of those innings. And it was around that same time in Game 2 that this came up. So that was a very, very big lift for Madison Bumgarner.
And the game remained scoreless until the 7th inning, and then things get interesting for the Tigers. Doug Fister was great in this game, but he allows a leadoff single in the 7th. He's taken out, and then the Tigers go to Drew Smiley, which is interesting because Jim Leyland said after the game if he had Jose Valverde as Jose Valverde, he would have gone to Phil Koch at that point. But instead he goes to Smiley, and Smiley was a little shaky.
Yes, he was. And, you know, Jim Leyland's bullpen right now is a little bit shaky. With the closer not being in his normal closer's role, that moves everybody else into a different role. Instead of being able to run Phil Koch out there in that situation, he had to run Drew Smiley out into that situation, and that's not his normal role. So you get deep into the season, and all of a sudden everybody in the bullpen has to change roles. It makes it very, very difficult for those guys to perform in different roles.
Smiley actually walked the first batter he faced, and then Gregor Blanco, a tremendous bunt to load the bases. And then the Tigers end up playing double play depth, and they get the double play ball from Brandon Crawford, but a run comes in to score. Would you have played the infield the same way?
Yeah, I think that's the correct call in that situation. You don't want to have the game blown open by a ball that would normally be caught by an infielder, and you turn it into a double play. If they're playing in, I think the ball that was hit to second base would have gone up the middle for a base hit, and that would have allowed 2 runs. So I think in that situation, with the bases loaded, nobody out, if you can come away with no runs or 1 run, I think you've come out ahead.
And they ended up down 1-0 after that inning. They lose 2-0. Coming up after this break, we will look ahead to game number 3. You're watching the Road to the World Series, presented by Ford.
You know, I research technology for a living, but even I was surprised when I found out one of the first integrated car radios was in a Ford. Sync AppLink. It literally links certain apps on your phone by speaking into a microphone, all while your phone is, say, in your pocket.
Mobile apps, please say a command.
Pandora. Now it's playing Pandora, and pretty soon the same's going to be true as more apps are added and downloaded to your phone. You say it, Sync listens and responds while you drive.
Welcome back to the Road to the World Series presented by Ford. The series now shifts back to Motown on Saturday night. The Tigers will try to get back in it. They're down 0-2. Let's go back to San Francisco. Pete McCarthy with Frank Thomas.
Thanks, Tim. Well, the Tigers, they find themselves in a predicament right now, down 0-2 in this series. And historically, teams down 0-2 in the World Series, 11-41. Not a good place to be. How much trouble is this team in? They haven't been able to put much offense together at all early on.
They're in a lot of trouble the way they're swinging the bats tonight. 2 for 26 sums it up. You're not going to win 2 for 26. Their offense is definitely hurting because of that 5-day layoff. The one thing they got going in their favor, they're going home, and they're a very good home team.
The best opportunity that the Tigers had offensively came in the second inning. Delman Young with the double in the corner kind of takes a funky hop, and Gene Lamont sends Prince Fielder. Jim Leland didn't seem crazy about the move after the ball game. Obviously, Fielder was thrown out at the plate. What did you think of that?
I just thought it was over-aggressive. I think Gene really wanted to get the team going. They've been struggling offensively, but that's not the guy to send home with no outs. They've been second, third with no outs. I think I would have took my chances with the guy with second and third with no outs.
Well, with a struggling offense, do you have to make a move like that sometimes?
You know, it's sad to hear that the Detroit is struggling. They have a super offense, but you're in the World Series down 5 days off. You don't have much time when you got a team with momentum like the Giants. So it was a bad move. It came back to haunt them. But they got to go home and play some total team baseball to get back in this thing.
The Giants have their two best starters going games 3 and 4. Ryan Vogelsong has been red hot this postseason, and Matt Cain, their ace in game 4. And what kind of hope is there for the Detroit Tigers to bring this thing back to San Francisco?
Well, the one thing with the Giants, they pitch very well. But as for Detroit, they just got to get back and really get the ball in play and just really focus a little bit better, because I think they had that 5-day layoff and they look a little rusty. The Giants have been on a tremendous roll. They're playing total team baseball. They got the hand up 2-0, but this series is not over yet.
Tigers have to pick it up fast. Let's send it back to the studio.
Thanks, Pete. You know, they mentioned it, games 3 and 4, Ryan Vogelsong and then Matt Cain on the mound for the Giants. It's going to be tough for the Tigers. Let's focus on 3 and Ryan Vogelsong. What a story it's been. He had to pitch in Japan to get back to the majors, and now he gets the ball